Fire Radio.
Don't clap. You haven't heard the presentation yet. I prefer not to use the microphone because I yell. I get emotional. I'm glad you guys are sitting back. I might, project a little bit, so that's okay. Nobody ever wants to sit up front. Thank you for sitting up front. Thank you. Thank you. So real quick, before I start, thank you. Thanks for the invitation to be here, for you guys to take time out of your schedule to be here. This program tonight is a couple parts. The first part's my story. I think it's important to explain who I am, where I came from, and why I've been able to develop such a program, along with why I started National Fire Radio. I think it's important that you get a background on me. So I'm gonna tell you my story. I'm gonna tell you my faults. I'm gonna tell you how terrible I was growing up and how life wasn't full of sunshine and rainbows in my life, and so on. But it's because of my own doing. From there, we're gonna talk about generational values. I'm gonna go into the different generations that are in society, but how that plays into the fire service and how the old versus young and young versus old is certainly an issue within the fire service. And I'm going to offer a little bit of solutions, but certainly have a lot of conversation. The one thing I want to say is you guys are not the group I should be talking to. I say that every time I do this because you guys are here. It's the ones that didn't come tonight. It's the ones that don't put in the extra. It's the ones that don't give up any more of their time to better themselves. So I don't know if your Chiefs made you be here. If they did, thank you, Chiefs. If you choose to be here on your own, thank you. Because you're taking a couple hours out of your busy schedules, and I promise you, I understand that. I'm super busy for you guys to be here. Can everybody hear me okay without the mic? Yeah? Cool. Okay. So, and then one other thing. Well, we'll hit on that in a minute. So let's do this. Always, 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 all the conversations I get, people reach out to me, and all they want to do is talk about tradition and culture. My firehouse sucks. We're not having a good time. We got a lot of slackers. We're trying to make a change, and our chiefs are holding us back. These are conversations I'm having every single day. I was having one in the parking lot before I came in here tonight with somebody. People reach out to me all the time because I became a voice in the fire service when it talks about culture and tradition. And we should not be focusing on culture and tradition. That should be taking care of itself. What we should be talking about is strategy and tactics. That's the important juice. That's the good stuff. But it's 90% culture. My firehouse sucks. Our department's falling apart. We can't get volunteers. They're asking more of us. We can't do more. We're starving for more. We can't do it. Instead, everybody wants to talk about that instead of how to force doors properly, stretch lines, and be better firemen, firefighters. We have it skewed. We don't have it right. We're focusing on the stuff that should be automatic, but we let our egos and ourselves get in the way of the conversation. And so I'm going to be walking around. It's what I do. I don't know where the clicker is going to work. I start the program off with the Aloha slide. Last year, I had the opportunity through National Fire Radio to go to Lahaina, Maui, the island of Maui, and I saw firsthand a month after the fires that happened in August. I went there for 5 days. I took my two youngest children, my wife, and my videographer with me, and we spent 5 days in Maui documenting the fires. I interviewed 22 people in 5 days. I interviewed fire companies that almost lost their lives, praying to God underneath their engines in a cul-de-sac, running out of air, doing CPR on a captain of their engine company. I talked to politicians, cultural leaders, people that lost their homes. This is what I've gotten to do with National Fire Radio. I've gotten to a place where I can get into the inner sanctums and start telling the stories of what fuels the fire service. I'm grateful for that, but this experience changed my life. 47 years old, changed my life? No, it actually did. The spirit of Hawaii, the people there, the ohana, the aloha spirit, family, culture, tradition. They have a saying, what is up, what is down, is down. That means there's an order to everything. And there's a mutual respect across the board. So whether you're the governor or the bottle washer at the local bar, they have a level of respect for one another that trumps anything else. That's the fire service. It was beautiful how they parallel each other, the Hawaiian spirit, and what the true traditions of the fire service really stand for. And so I like to do this as a reminder for me that I get to talk about this experience. If you go online, you can find the interviews that I did, with incredible people that had a lot of stories to share from one of their worst days ever. But I just like to start off with that slide as a reminder for myself as well. This is my family. Other than my wife and my 3 other children, this is my family. So on the left is my father and I. My father's 82 years old, still gets up at 3 o'clock in the morning and drives the ladder truck if there's nobody else to drive it. I grew up in his home. This man is civic-minded. Not only was he a fireman for over 50 years, councilman and a mayor. He believes in giving back to the community, and I grew up with that. The middle photo is myself on the left, my daughter Lily, 16, my father in the middle, my brother Chris, and my brother Greg. 3 boys in the Donch house. I'm the youngest. We're all firemen. My father instilled that into us, and that's important. My daughter Lily, 16 years old, my youngest, never saw it. I never saw it coming. She said to me, she turned 16 in February. In January of this year, she says, Dad, I'm going to join. I go, join what? She's going to join the firehouse. I'm going to join the fire service. And my first response to her was absolutely not. Truthfully, absolutely not. This is a guy that travels across the country talking about the fire service and how good it is. And I thought that I didn't want my daughter involved. That's my place. That's my house. I've been a fireman for almost 30 years there. I have stories there. The guys know me. There's things about me that I keep separate from house and firehouse, right? So I was reluctant to have my daughter join the fire service, but I smartened up very quickly. And I really did some soul searching with that just within a day. I mean, my soul is pretty shallow, so it goes pretty quick. I'm kidding, guys. The thing is this, the fire service has done so much for me. Why would I take that away from her? How dare I? How dare I affect her relationship that she's going to have with the fire service? I don't get to make that decision for her. She gets to make that decision. Whether she wants to fall in love with it or whether she tries it out for 6 months and said, Dad, this isn't for me. That's her choice, not mine. So very quickly I said to her, yes, I want you here. Come. I want to open this world up to you. And within the first couple of weeks, I had some real hard conversations with her. Things that I've never discussed with any of my other children. I explained to her that her and I are on a completely different level than any of my other children. Because we share something that they'll never understand. Things we don't talk about at home. Things that she'll see at the firehouse or on the fire ground. Things she's going to learn about residents within our town, our own members. The highs and the lows. She's now going to be a part of this. And I was always protecting my family from it. But I know what it did for me. It's part of the process. And so opening up the process for her is incredibly important for me. And in fact, so much so, now months later, I find myself not just hopping in the front seat. Now I'm riding the back seat if I can. If we get another chauffeur that pulls up, I'm jumping in the back seat. I want to get back in there again with her. I get fired up. She's made me excited about it again. Who's going to teach her? Who's going to train her? Who's going to show her or give her the opportunities that I had growing up? We don't have that many choices anymore in our firehouses. And I'm going to talk about all that as the program goes on. So my daughter Lily, 16, going on 25. This kid's a rock star. She's smart. She wants to be a corporate attorney. And she's so much smarter than me now. Shit, she's smarter than me now. She's incredible. So this is my family. It's the family business. It's volunteer, but it consumes us. I'm going to talk about the volunteer fire service tonight. Most of you guys are, I think this is heavily volunteer, right? Might be a couple career guys in here. Fire service, when done right, and you go all in, it's not a career, it's not a job, it's a lifestyle. You think about the people you run with, the people you text, call, hang out with, go on vacation with, have laughter with, who your friends, who your kids are friends with, who the wives are friends with. It's the fire service. When you go all in on it, it becomes you. Those are the people we need. We have to share those values with everybody that comes through our doors. We want to make sure that they will represent the values of what the fire service truly is. So it's a lifestyle. This is my other family business, Tri-State Bearing. I go to parties. People go, what do you do for a living? I'm a ball bearing salesman. It's a punchline, but I was. So I grew up in the family business. My father started the company in 1980. I worked there my entire life, starting probably at 8 years old, hanging out, dusting shelves, cleaning shelves, learning the product, having conversations. I worked every single job in the family business. That's what a family business is. You wear every single hat. My father worked 7 days a week, always, always, always providing. His work ethic was incredible, and I'm going to talk about that because it falls in line with the generation that he comes from. His work ethic was top shelf. I learned that from him, but I only learned that later on in life, and I'll tell you about that in a little bit. But Tri-State Bearing was good to us. It gave me a good living, an upper class or upper middle class neighborhood. I didn't struggle. Things were given to me. I'd say I was entitled. I was also the big kid, so I was also the bully. I was also a piece of crap, and I didn't know it back then. I was entitled. Everything was given to me. And so that is who I've become, or who I became. Tommy Callahan, Big Tom Callahan's son, right? Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life. That was me for many, many years. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. Growing up in the family business, it provided for us. My parents were able to take care of my college education. I went to Marist College in Poughkeepsie, New York. I went up there to play Division I lacrosse. I was pretty good at the game. Came down, they scouted me, went up, started to play freshman year, and I threw away my Division I career for girls, drinking, and eventually going to fires. It's not a regret, but it's something, when I talk about it, I feel this sense come over me about, I think I missed out. I think playing D1 ball would have given me more discipline. It would have humbled me a little bit more than I was at the time. See, I didn't get it, right? When you get everything handed to you, and you grow up in a time where my father and mother worked hard to give me everything I needed, I didn't know any better. They were able to pay for my education. Tommy Callahan, that was me. When I went to college, dropped out of lacrosse, I found the firehouse up the road, Fairview Fire District, Poughkeepsie, New York. Back in the 90s, when I was in college, I learned very quickly that if I didn't want to go to the bar and I didn't want to chase girls, I can go to the firehouse and chances are we're going to catch something. We went to a lot of fires at that time. The city of Poughkeepsie was empty lot, boarded up, or burned out. They had 3 career guys on when I was there. So the volunteers supplemented, but we only had a couple handful of volunteers. I ended up living at that firehouse. I rode the front seat of that ladder truck 10 times a day. Going to fires, going to wrecks, and really falling in love with the fire service. Problem was this. My grades were suffering. I wasn't performing well. Double secret probation twice in college. But I stayed, costing my parents a lot of money. And then one day I had the opportunity to get hired. Fairview was going to hire me. I was number 1 on the list. And I had a moment. And I think I grew up a little bit that day. And I said, if I don't finish college, I'll never finish it. If I take the job at 20 years old, I would have been retired already. If I took the job at 20, I would have never finished college. And I think I would have disappointed my parents. And so for the first time, I took responsibility. For me, I deferred the job thinking I'll have plenty of opportunity. I'm going to be a New York City fireman anyway, or I'm going to get hired somewhere else. I'm not worried about it. Come back to Jersey. We'll test on the civil service test. I'll get hired. The opportunity came around 6 months later. About 6 months later, I got hired again from Fairview. They called me. We're hiring again. They started growing the department. I deferred it the second time. I ended up graduating from Marist and moving back home to my parents' house in Franklin Lakes. No more Fairview. No more Poughkeepsie. So now I'm testing. I'm taking tests. I'm doing all sorts of things. And when I come home, I'm relying upon the family business that's provided for me for so long. And so I go home, and who do I become? This guy right here. I walk in the door. My father hands me an American Express card, a company vehicle, and an expense account. It says, go grow our family business. Thank you for coming home. Learn our business. Go do. I was great at it. I was great at entertaining customers, Drinking, golfing, restaurants, I was awesome at it. My expense account was through the roof. My sales were not. I was, again, Tommy Boy, an entitled kid who didn't know any better. 2008, 2009 comes. The economy corrects. When the economy corrects, my father calls me and says, we need to meet. We meet. I'm feeling on top of the world. He says, it's you or a couple employees. Company's not doing well, cash flow's tight. I'm going to have to let a couple people go, or I got to let you go, my son. That was the moment that I realized I was never going to be a career fireman. I was too chicken shit to tell him to let me go, and he should have let me go. He was dragging me around like an anchor because I was his youngest son. He saw something in me, but I certainly wasn't giving it to him. Tommy Boy, fat, drunk, and stupid. That's all I did. That's who I was. That day in 2008, I grew up, realized I was not going to be a career fireman. My American Express card got taken away. The company car gets taken away. The expense accounts disappears, and I have to now sit at a desk 8 hours a day and pick up the telephone and learn the family business. Fun fact, fast forward, I did learn the business. I learned it really well. I actually went all in on it. That moment when I grew up, I realized that this job had incredible potential for me. My brothers were in the business, I was in the business, and my father. So the lifestyle that my father afforded me, if I wanted to do that for my family, well, we needed to be at least 4x what we were. My father was carrying my brothers and I. My brothers were in support roles of the company. I quickly started really learning the business and started growing the business. I went all in on it. That's when I figured things out. That's when I realized that things aren't given to you. You have to go work. I started working 6 days a week, 12, 14 hours a day, growing the business on the back of what? Free networks like social media. And I realized very quickly how we can scale a small business located in Saddlebrook, New Jersey. Then we moved to Clifton. And I realized very quickly how we can grow on a national presence and not just a local presence. And so we started growing the business very quickly. And things were going really well. But here's the problem with family businesses. Resentment sneaks in on you. The family, who were all firemen together, rode on the fire trucks together, celebrated Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving together, barbecued on the weekends. We weren't doing so much of that anymore. See, the family starts to suffer when you're in a family business a lot of the times. Resentment creeps in, and when resentment creeps in, now my hero, my father, I'm starting to resent a little bit. I'm starting to have some struggles. I'm starting to think that I'm working harder. I'm doing more. I'm watching my two brothers in the company. I'm watching my output versus theirs. They're coming in at 8 and leaving at 5. I'm coming in at 6 and going home at 8. Resentment creeps in. And so what happens, it was time for a change. We were close to buying the company from my father, almost 6 years ago now. We had an opportunity. My father was looking for an exit. Myself and my brothers were going to buy the business. And the night before, I got cold feet. And I was the guy that was supposed to take over. And my wife said to me, she said, what's up with you? She's my rock. I'm going to talk about her in a minute. And I said, I don't think I want to do this. And she said, then don't do it. She said, you're doing it probably because you feel obligated to do it for your father. She said, if it's not in your heart or it's who you are, don't do it. That morning, I went into the company, the attorneys, the accountants, everybody's there, paperwork ready to sign. I looked at my father in the eyes. My brothers were already ready to go. Looked at my father and I said, I need more time. And he said, you take all the time you want. And I did. I pushed away from the table that day. I did not buy the company. 6 months later, I get a phone call from a competitor. 6 months after that, we sold the company. We sold my father's business. It gave him the exit he deserved, and it set me free to do something more, to do something different, to follow my passion. My road took me to there. Now it's on me. Enter National Fire Radio. National Fire Radio was my way of figuring out I wanted to do more for the fire service. I wanted to be a career fireman. All my friends grew up in the volunteer fire service, and all of them have exited to career jobs. Guys across the city, across cities and towns, across the East Coast, the Northeast. We have guys out west. I have friends situated in fire departments all over the country that came from our volunteer system. That tells me that our department had a culture of firemanship. Kids came in from an affluent community like Franklin Lakes, and they didn't want to be attorneys and accountants or doctors. They came through the volunteer fire service, and our fire department created career firefighters. That is a huge testament to a good culture. That's what we had. But see, I was the kid that got left behind. My own doing, but I watched everybody graduate and move on, and I'm still home. And so I said to my wife, I said, I think the fire service is missing. I've always been a student of the fire service. I'm watching the institutions. I'm watching fire engineering. I'm watching Firehouse, Fire Rescue, all the different publications, and what they're not doing is innovating. They're not reaching the younger community. They're not sharing the lessons of the fire service on the channels of which people are consuming information. And I said to my wife, I said, I think we could do something here. I did it for the company. I think I could do it for the fire service. She said, then go do it. She regrets those words because I'm not home much these days. But that was a joke, guys. So it's been a fun ride. And National Fire Radio for me became a podcast and social media platform. Very quickly, it was a podcast protecting the integrity of the senior man. It was to tell stories, capture stories in perpetuity. We have all seen the 20, 25-year fireman have a terrific career up until his last few years. And when I say career, job, all of that, it's just firemanship. It's firefighting. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. The job is the job. Doesn't care. 20 years in a volunteer fire service, 20 years in a career fire service. In his last few years, he becomes disgruntled, pissed off, upset with administration, doesn't like the new command staff, hates the new generation. And they take 20 years of incredible experience and they take it with them and they walk out the door. I can't have that. I can't have that on my conscience. So the idea of the podcast was to capture those stories in perpetuity. Perpetuity meaning those stories will be there forever. We share the stories. We tell the experiences. We can pass it on to the next generation. That's our responsibility in the fire service. And that's what this was. Very quickly with the podcast, it grew pretty quick. We got some attention pretty fast, started gaining some popularity. And then from there, I started realizing that the whole social media game was really missing. And so we doubled down on that. Today, National Fire Radio is not just a podcast and social media platform. It's so much more than that. It's actually a media marketing company now that works with most of the major manufacturers in the country. I do media marketing projects. I'm doing a photo shoot tomorrow for a manufacturer down in South Jersey. We have a full media marketing team where we go out and we consult. We could do design, execution, creative, and delivery when it comes to talking to the fire service. We do a lot of work that nobody even knows that we're involved with. So we have scaled in 6 years from just a podcast and Instagram page to a much bigger project. And in fact, the first quarter of next year, we have some new projects rolling out that are going to change the landscape again in the American fire service. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that is what I've become. This is who I am. And the thing is we've built community. This was one of the interviews I did in Maui. Absolutely. Such a beautiful backdrop, man. I'm like, how does fire happen here? It was so gorgeous there, right? Anyway, an incredible interview, but that photo just brings back incredible memories for me. But we promote the best of the job. We build community. If I can educate every 16 to 36-year-old, then when they're 26 and 46, 36 and 66, we can help write the narrative. We're part of that process. So let's educate and tutor our youth in this fire service. Let's find ways to communicate that are different than the traditional ways in which we used to communicate. So many of us want it to be the way it's always been. It can't be. It never has been. It's always changing and always evolving. Are you willing to open up your mind and be part of it? Full transparency, 100% authentic. I just told you a story about being fat, drunk, and stupid, being entitled, being a kid that was given everything. And through my own trials and tribulations, I had to grow up and find my way. That's part of my story. But I wouldn't be here today if I didn't go through that process. So when I talk on my podcast, when I do this program, I'm not afraid to tell you anything about me. There's a couple things that are off limits. But I promise you this, we all have our faults. We're all not perfect. There's a tremendous amount of egos in this room tonight, mine included. We're all alphas. So where do we find middle ground? How do we find compromise if we all are always right? That's what we have to talk about tonight. So for me, this is incredibly important. I think the success of National Fire Radio has been and will always be because of the authenticity that we put out. There's no bullshit and no fluff because the fire service doesn't deserve it. The job. So now we're going to get into the program, the generational talk, and so on. Tonight when I talk about the job is the job. Fire doesn't care. Fire will kill you. Doesn't care where you come from, where you ride, career, volunteer, doesn't matter. The job is the job. We all do it. I've had a couple guys challenge me on that, and that's fine. I tell them, meet me in the parking lot afterwards, and we'll deal with it. And I'm guilty. Every single thing I talk about in this program tonight, I'm guilty of. I don't stand here and preach. People, I put up a post the other night from, I just did this class last Thursday night, I think, out in Pennsylvania. And I posted it. It got like, within a couple days, it got like 30-something thousand views, and people are all over it with comments and stuff. And it talks about one of the slides that I'm going to show you later. I record all of them. I record them because it's for me, my own abilities to see when I teach and how well I deliver. I want to make sure that you guys are getting the value out of it. But I also chop it up and put it out on social media to challenge the status quo, which is what we should be doing. Always making this job better. I am guilty. Every single thing in this program tonight, I have violated. I'm not perfect. People say in my feed, preach. I don't want to preach. I'm not a preacher. I'm just a fireman. That's all I am. But I've learned some lessons along the way. I'm guilty. The greatest generation, 99 to 122, born 1901 to 1925, product of the Great Depression, okay? So if you think about it, we don't have many of these fine gentlemen left in the fire service, unfortunately. There's a handful left, and you hear incredible stories of these decorated individuals. Frugality, they didn't spend money. They didn't have money to spend. That is that generation. And they were influenced because most of them were soldiers who fought in World War II. The silent generation, 25 to 45, 78 to 98. This is my father's generation. My father's 82 years old this year. He's a hard worker. He puts his head down. They work within the lines, within the system. They're the smallest generation because of the influences of the Great Depression and World War II. They work within the system, like I said. My father's work ethic, I mentioned it before, I'll say it again. He raised his family from, I think, 12 years old up. He was the man of the house, working jobs in between getting an education, raising my aunts and uncles. That's who this generation was. They put their heads down and worked. Uh-oh. There we go. Baby boomers, 46 to 64, 59 to 77. We got plenty of these guys in the fire service. Plenty of them. One of the most relevant generations in modern society. They're hardworking people. They understand technology and innovation. They witnessed it firsthand throughout their life. They're a product of Vietnam, civil rights movements, flower power. They have a lot of similarities to millennials, and I'm going to talk about millennials in just a minute. But they have a lot of similarities. The one fun thing about baby boomers is baby boomers love to compete. They love to compete with their children. Oh, what do you got? Yeah, this is what I got. What do you have? That is a thing. And that's part of the conversation, because when we talk about the fire service, we need to lean back on the generational values. That's the most important part of this whole program tonight, is understanding that these guys are cut from a different cloth than I am, than you are. So we have to understand where they're coming from in order to understand how we find middle ground and communicate. Generation X is the best generation by far because it's mine. It's who we are. You guys don't laugh at all. I'm not funny tonight. 65 to 79, 44 to 58. I'm 47 years old. We knew life before the internet, and we know life today. My generation growing up, my first email address was freshman year of college, 1995. It was an AOL account just to pick up chicks on AIM. That's all it was. Dial-in service, age, sex, location. That was me, man. We were trolling, right? But the one fun thing about this, and everybody knows who they are, right? I hope. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure there's somebody in here that doesn't. The one fun thing about my generation is we were those kids that went out in the morning and didn't come back until the lights came on. We were the ones that your mom yelled out the door, come home for dinner, and we'd ride our bikes home. I disappeared every single day, got in a lot of trouble and a lot of mischief because we were allowed to be on our own. But we allowed other parents to parent us. Nobody was afraid to step in and take ownership if something wasn't being done correctly. We serve as a bridge, this generation. Because we knew life in simpler times and we know life today, we're the ones that put together the conversation of young and old. We find the middle ground. We find compromise. That's what my generation is known to do. And so with that, I pull the young kid, bring him over to the old guy, and I make the old guy tell him stories. I bridge the gap. I find how to bring people together, hence the name of the program. Millennials, 80 to 94, 29 to 43, greatly misunderstood, tech savvy, older people. My father, 82 years old, blames millennials for everything. He doesn't even know what a millennial is. Millennials, you tend to think millennials are younger than this. But think about it. That's 29 to 43. They're having children. They're married. Their children are growing up. There's influences there. The thing is, right, with millennials, they're socially conscious. My oldest, Michael, is 30 years old. He's getting married next month. Michael is my stepson, but he was mine when he so Kendra and Michael are my two stepkids. Michael's 30, Kendra's 28. They were mine at 5 and 6. So they grew up with me. They're my children. I call them mine, even though they are my stepkids. Michael is an absolute millennial. He loves experiences. He does very well in life. Lives in Hoboken, works in Manhattan, does very well in life. But man, he loves experiences. He loves to figure out which brand of coffee he likes. He's a sneaker nut. He buys me sneakers for every holiday. So I have unlimited amounts of Nike Air Forces that he designs for me. He's involved and intricate. He wants to know about things. Money doesn't drive the conversation with him. It's all about his lifestyle, finding balance. So it's a little bit different than my generation or, say, the boomers or the silent generation, okay? So understanding that, they appreciate constructive feedback. Who the hell wants that? I don't. They do. They want to know what expectations are. They want to know what they're supposed to be responsible for, where they fit in, and tell me if I'm doing it wrong. But tell me with respect and endearment, and let me know so I can do better next time. I can perfect my game. I can get better at what I'm doing. So I'm spending a little more time on this because this is the bread and butter of the fire service, right? So we have to know how to communicate with them. There's plenty of millennials in this room tonight. I don't devalue any generation. I think what happens is we get frustrated with the different generational values and not understanding how to communicate. That is where the breakdown is. That's the miscommunication. Generation Z, 95 to 2012, 11 to 28, exposed to social media. They were the first generation to deal with cyberbullying and other social issues. Diversity and inclusion, love it. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. I think the more different we are, the better we are. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Work-life balance, they appreciate that. And they're the first generation to truly deal with school violence and large social issues like climate change. When I sit down at dinner with my two girls that are still home, so Michael and Kendra, 30 and 28, they're both moved out, professional lives, doing very well. Paige is 17, she's a senior, and Lily, who joined the fire service, is 16, and she's a junior in high school. Dinner at my house is, if I can be home, which I tend to be if I'm not traveling, we eat dinner at least 4 nights a week at the table. It's a requirement of mine. If I'm not traveling for NFR or for work, I am home, and we're having dinner at the table, even if it's 10 minutes. That's our recharge time. That's our connection. That is the time that we need to connect, and that's important to me. I know that's not possible for everyone, but it's important for me with our hectic schedules. When I sit down and have dinner with my children, that conversation is nothing like the conversation I had with my parents growing up. My parents didn't know anything about me, nor was I going to tell them. My kids tell me everything. I know every single thing, probably 90% of what's going on in the world. I know. They trust me. They treat me with respect. We talk about social issues. I'm talking about Harris and Trump. I'm talking red and blue. We're talking Elon Musk. We're talking climate change. We're talking sex, abortion. Who the hell wants to have those conversations with their 16 and 17-year-old daughters? My point is this: they are more educated than I ever was at that age, let alone I'm 47, and sometimes they know more than I do now about social issues. My job now is to educate them about vetting the information they're being fed. So parenting has changed a little bit. Finding connections, sitting down with my daughters at dinner and having conversations that blow my mind. And then I'm like on my phone looking up information so I know what the hell I'm talking about. It's a challenge. It's an absolute challenge. These are my daughters. Gen Alpha is 13 to 25, 0 to 10, youngest generation in the United States. They're learned by watching, meaning they're watching their parents. They're watching those around them. They grew up with parents. This is the first generation to grow up with parents that were exposed to all the technology. These are the kids that are sitting there on their tablets, headphones on 24 hours a day. Now, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. That's your way to parent. I don't care. Technology is not going to go backwards. So if we vilify technology, you will lose. Your children will lose. So it's not the technology's fault. Maybe it's the parenting. Maybe it's the connection, your time. I spoke the other night, like I said, and I had to grab a quick bite before I spoke in Pennsylvania. So I just found this diner. I stopped, and this husband and wife, younger, sitting at the table, and their child's in the stroller facing them, and they have a iPad and an iPad just playing, no sound. And the kid was too little to have headphones on. But there's a cartoon playing the whole time. And then 5 minutes into it, I look up, and there's a window that popped up on the screen. I don't know what the window was, but it was some type of, alert or whatever. And they didn't even know that had popped up, so the kid couldn't even watch the program anymore. So what dawned on me was, it didn't matter if the program was playing or not. It was the fact that the parents weren't paying any attention to their child. That's an issue. So I don't vilify the tablet. I don't vilify people watching, kids growing up on their tablets. I get it. I don't vilify that. I vilify the time and the commitment the parents put in. Something every generation wants. We always want to make it easier for the next generation. I think about what I do for my children. I think about what my father did for me. I told you, took care of me. I was entitled. His hard work gave me everything that I needed and wanted in life. And I still wasn't grateful for that. I am today. I promise you that. I'm a changed man. I think about what I do for my kids and the simple tasks that I would have done as a kid, but now I find myself doing them for my daughters every once in a while because it's just easier. How about in the firehouse, when you ask for something to be done, it doesn't get done? Do we hold that individual accountable, or do you just do it? If you just do it, you're part of the problem. You've created the entitlement. That's a big part of the conversation, right? Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. G. Michael Hoff, It's a cycle. It's an absolute generational cycle. I saw somebody take a picture of this slide. It's a great, great quote. The one thing we all have in common is this. And this is where we get it right. And the rest of the world does not. We're Generation Firefighter. Age doesn't matter in this job. I don't care who you are. I don't care how old you are or what your generational values are. The one thing we all have in common is we're firefighters. My friends, and I don't have many that are outside the fire service, when we have barbecues at my house or parties and I get my fire friends, all my buddies come over and their kids and wives, and then my non-firematic friends come and they stand there and go, I don't get it. You got a 90-year-old man over here and a 16-year-old kid over here. That's a job, I'm going with you. If you guys, and I'm not taking a break tonight, so I should have said this before. I don't like to take breaks. It kills the momentum. So if you need to get up, use the restroom, get a drink, whatever, that's fine. My feelings aren't hurt. So if you want to get up, get up. Don't be afraid. So Generation Firefighter. So my non-firematic friends are like, I don't get it. You have an 80-year-old, 16-year-old, 45, 73. How the hell does this work? I said, because there's a mutual respect and understanding between each of us. See, when I get on the engine at night, I'm 47, I might have 18, 35, 23, 72. We're all going to do the same job. So I don't give a shit how old you are. I just need to make sure you can do the job. That's our responsibility as Generation Firefighter. We are blind to it. The gentleman on the left, in his 90s, love him. I'm going to talk about him in a little bit. Girl on the right is probably 16 years old, 14 years old. We need to do everything in our power to embrace all the ages because that's how we move forward. Generation 5, age doesn't matter, but understanding and mutual respect does. How often is this in your firehouse? It's common in mine, right? Shut up, old man. Tired of hearing you. All you do is preach to us. You talk down to us. Tired of it. You think you know better. Oh, just wait, guys. Just wait. This is very common, not just in the fire service, but in life. We don't have the patience or tolerance we once had. And our older guys, like my father at 82 years old, his filter is gone. Dad, you can't say that. He's like, I don't care. I'll be dead soon. Doesn't matter. Can't say whatever he wants, right? The problem is this. We need to embrace. We can't allow them to have that crusty no from the back seat. See, the thing is this. There's a checks and balance in the fire service. Shut up, old man. Stupid kid, stop asking why. We all have our issues. The old have problems with the young are fed up with the old, and we're all right. Nobody's willing to find the common ground. Why are they asking why all the time? Why do they always have to ask why? Why do I have to explain everything to them? My question is, why can't you? See, here's the fun fact. Let's go back to the millennials. They want to be involved, and they need to know what the expectations are. They need to know what's expected of them and give them tutoring and guidance. They're asking why because legitimately they want to know why. The problem is, it's a threat. See, the problem is when we ask why, a lot of times we don't know why. And so now the 40-year member in your fire department, when the kid asks him why, or not even a 40-year member, how about the 5-year lieutenant sitting in the front seat? And the 18-year-old kid looks at him and goes, yeah, but Lou, why are we doing that? Or why do we do it this way? It becomes a threat if the lieutenant is not confident in his own skills and abilities. If you don't know the answer and you should, shame on you. That's called accountability, folks. That's where we are in the fire service. It's easier to shrug or to push away. It's easy to blame the why or blame the kid that's asking why instead of taking responsibility and guiding them to the answer. They want to know the answer because they actually want to know the answer. See, in life, we have this. What do you want to know? I can tell you in 12 seconds. What do you want me to look up? Immediacy. Why? Perfect. Immediacy. Everything is now. Everything is immediate. I'm going to talk about patience in a little while. But everything is now. And so they want to know why. And they want to know now. Now, if you don't have the answer, tell them. I don't know. Let's find out together. Do you know what that does for ego? Woof. That's hard for somebody to say. That's really hard for somebody to admit they don't know. This is the crux of this whole program tonight. We have to find the common ground, and we have to find ways to communicate. We have too much of this. We have become too polar, not just in the firehouse, but in life. You're either red or blue. There's no purple. We've become too polar. Our feelings have gotten in the way. And when guys' feelings get hurt in the firehouse, instead of going out back and slugging it out like we used to 30 years ago, we'll have people leave and never come back again because they're not invested. They're not bought in. They'd rather back away instead of man up and admit they were wrong. That's where we are today, folks. We love to blame one another. It's something we all have in common. We love to point the finger and not take responsibility for our own actions. And this goes for the 50-year senior man down to the newest kid in the fire service. Accepting responsibility for your actions. If you want to blame anybody, blame me, right? You hear people talk about technology. You hear people talk about the cell phone ruined the firehouse, all those things, right? You know what's fun? Technology is not an age thing anymore. I'm watching older guys in this room be on their phones tonight. It's not the young kids, it's the older guys. It is not a youth problem. It's everyone's problem. What do you value more? What's in front of you or the screen in front of you? So if you want to blame anybody, blame me. You can blame Jeremy at National Fire Radio. I'll take responsibility. Shoot me an email. I'll talk to you about it. The problem is you have to accept responsibility for it yourself. But if this is a problem, maybe your people aren't engaged. Like I'm looking around this room right now. There's not many people that have picked up their phone tonight. That means I'm doing my job. That means I have created engagement. That means you're listening and you're paying attention. That's what we need in our firehouses. The reason why people disappear on you, it's because you don't attract them. It's because you're not keeping them engaged. It's because you're not challenging them. You guys are all watching me tonight. I'm watching people lean in on their seats. It's freaking awesome. That means I have your attention. That's what we need in the firehouse. That's what we need in the fire service is leaders, people that go all in on their people. Take a charge and engage your people. I promise you, engagement. You can use your phone. Did you guys see that latest video on National Fire Radio? Did you guys see that latest video, that latest podcast, this, that? Use it to your advantage. It's a fun conversation when a couple guys have seen the same fire porn, and now you can talk about it operationally. You know what it takes? Engagement. It takes somebody to facilitate that conversation. Somebody has to step up and lead. Why the disconnect? I'm going to go through these, so I don't need to read them off. Foundation. Solid versus shaky. We all know we need to come from a solid foundation. You guys are a block within the foundation of your department. Every single person is a part of the foundation. Before we can even build upon the foundation, we need to have solid ground. You're not going to build cinder blocks on sand, right? So we need to find bedrock. We need to dig down. So it's easy to say we have a solid foundation. How solid is the ground that you're building upon? The ground is understanding where you come from. It's understanding your department, the people that have put in the blood, sweat, and the tears. The young kids understanding the photos on the wall, the awards, the pictures, the fires, the individuals that have something to share. That is all part of the ground in which we build upon. Are we educating? Are we teaching? Then we can start building. Foundational roots, companies, departments, organizations matter. You need to know the foundation from which you come. The kids in my firehouse today, they don't know anything about the department. Shame on me. That slide before, I'm guilty. I should be doing a better job. I should be spending more time. I should be talking to them more, talking about the photos and the pictures and the gentlemen and ladies in the room that have contributed to our fire company, but I'm not doing it because I'm pulled in 1,000 different directions. We have to know where we come from. It's the only way we can set forth some appreciation for all the hard work that people have put in. Morals, ethics, and values. The only thing on here that I want to talk about is this right down here. Doing the right thing is always doing the right thing. Plain and simple. Doing the right thing is always doing the right thing. A lot of times it's making the hardest decisions. There's no shortcuts. We're going to talk about shortcuts. There's no shortcuts in this. Doing the right thing requires you to do the right thing. Communication, right? Talking for the sake of talking. Do you give them a chance to talk? Do we allow people to talk anymore? Are we listening to them? Do we even value what they have to say? I watch people get walked all over. Fire meetings, officers' meetings, everywhere. Now, I want to throw out a disclaimer, right? This is not for the fire ground. This is a culture and tradition conversation. It's talking about our fire companies. The fire ground is very different than these slides. There has to be a chain of command. There has to be order. And that's not the place for the why. That is not the place to not be listening, okay? So just understand that, and I'm going to talk about that in a bit. We could all do better at listening. I think about how often I don't listen to my own kids because I know better. I know where the conversation's going to go already. I know on Friday night they're going to want an extra half hour on their curfew. So I'm going to cut them off before I even listen. Maybe there's a really good reason for them asking, but because I know and my time is so valuable, I'm just going to cut them off and tell them that I already know where they're coming from. I don't have an extra 15, 20 seconds for my own children. Shame on me. That's where we've gotten. This slide right here, the next two slides, this is a gut check for a lot of us. All we do is dismiss one another today. We don't value the old guys. We don't value the young guys. We don't value anyone anymore. We dismiss each other, talk over them. We don't allow them to have an opinion or an idea or a thought. I can promise you this, that there is always going to be people in the room that are better, bigger, and smarter than you. So if you're always the guy talking over everyone else, you're the problem. I promise you that. If you find that your voice is the biggest voice in the room, there's a problem. I was that guy. Guilty. That slide. I am guilty. When I was a young fire chief and a young fire officer, I was a piece of shit. I couldn't be told any different. I knew everything. You want to know something? I'll tell you. You want to do something? I'll tell you how to do it. You got an idea? Mine's better. I was that guy. I have since changed that behavior. And in fact, I run in circles today that I don't belong in. I'm in text groups, chat groups. I travel the country with some of the biggest and best names in the American Fire Service. People that I read their articles cover to cover 4 times a month from 14 years old on up. I read those articles from those gentlemen, and those gentlemen today are my friends. I get to run in those circles now. That's amazing for me. I don't belong there, but I love it. I love it. Listen. Be quiet and engage. This guy right here, he needs to come to the firehouse more than we need him. He needs to come down to the firehouse on drill night. He needs to sit down in the chair that he's always sat in. and he needs to just have some fellowship. It might be his only night out of the week. Allow him to have that. Better yet, engage him. Make him part of the fabric. Joe, tell me about that fire again down on Main Street. Oh, Jeremy, let me tell you about that one. That fire was out 4 windows on arrival. We had water problems. It was cold that night. We had jumpers. Joe, that's incredible. Hang on. Hey, Bob, come here. Bob, sit down with Joe. You ever hear this story before? Pull him in. Bridge that gap. Have Joe tell that story to the next generation. We're building on that foundation. But Joe needs that conversation more than I need to hear it for the 15th time, the 100th time. Let him continue to tell the same story time and time again. I promise you 2 things. 1, the story gets better. It was out 4 windows. The next Monday night, it's going to be out 8 windows. They had waist-deep snow. There were nuns on fire jumping out the window. The story continues to get grander. The beautiful thing about that is Joe goes home with a sense of pride and ownership that he's still part of the firehouse. This department for this guy's in his 90s. They still let him have a coat with his own name tag on it. They give him a helmet, and they say, Joe, anytime you want to jump on the truck with us, you get on with us. Do you know what that does for him? All those years of putting in hard work into that fire company, and those guys recognize that a simple ride to a carbon monoxide alarm, sitting down and breaking bread or having a beer with them and having them tell the same story 100 times, that fuels him. He needs that. We need that too as a department and as a company. We cannot dismiss them. I watch these young kids sit at drill on Monday night after we train, and they sit there and they talk about football and they goof on each other. We don't even talk firemanship anymore. It blows my mind. I don't know how your kitchen tables are, but I'm like, guys, can we talk about firefighting? Can we talk about the craft? Firemanship? Can we talk about what you just screwed up in the parking lot? Can we talk about firefighting for 10 minutes? It's not a priority anymore. Things have shifted. It takes somebody or a group of people to maintain the conversation and the focus. Super important, but we need Joe to be a part of the conversation. If Joe wants a coat and a helmet, let him keep it. Joe wants his own seat with his name on it, stitch his name on it. Joe needs something, you go to his house and you take care of Joe. We don't do that much anymore. We've lost sight of the importance of that. When we have funerals within our volunteer departments for past members or widows, are you getting up and going? Nope. I can tell you're not. That's a problem. That's a cultural problem. We need to talk about it. There's going to be one day that you're going to be there. You're going to be Joe. And if we don't preserve the integrity of this job, you won't be Joe because that firehouse won't need you anymore. They've moved on. We have to do a better job. But on the flip side, we got to do a better job here too. Our new members, when they come in the door, are we giving them expectations? Are we clearly defining the roles and responsibilities and what they're expected to do and how to perform? Are we giving them the opportunity to be a part of our organization? I watch new kids come in and get lost in the system like that. And not a single guy will take a half a second and be like, yo, Lauren, come here. Let's sit down for a minute. How's it going? You've been here for 2 months now. Is the fire service what you thought it would be? Not everybody that comes in the firehouse has family there. They're coming in as a complete stranger. Are we opening the doors and inviting them in? Are we making them feel a part of the team? That's just as important. We cannot dismiss our younger people. Volunteer fire departments have a revolving door. New members come in and they leave just as quick as they come in. And then we sit there and blame that generation. We sit there and blame them. They don't have the work ethic. There's too much training. There's too much this. They don't do that. And my question is, how much time did you spend with them? Did you even know their name? If they're a junior member, do you know their parents' names? Do you even know their phone number? Have you ever sent them a text? It's a hard conversation. We're dismissing people today more than ever, young and old. The fire service is about dialing in on one another. The fire service is about having conversation and connection so that when I need a deck built, you guys come over. When my wife gets sick, there's food showing up at my front door. That's what the fire service is about. Firefighting and going to calls is 10% of it, which should require 100% of our effort. The other stuff is what our daily stuff is. Are you going all in on your people? I fall down on it too, guys. I'm not sitting here preaching. I'm not sitting here telling you that I do it any better than any of you, because I don't. I wish I did. But as a collective whole, if we pick each other up and fill in the gaps, we can do better. We need to do better. I don't have any time in my life. I work 2 full-time jobs. National Fire Radio is full-time. The bearing company that bought us, I work for them as a sales consultant still. I manage one $4 million account for the company. I travel from Baltimore to New York State. And then I do my podcast and social media platform. I'm probably doing 80 to 100 hours a week, full-time, 2 full jobs. 4 kids, a wife trying to make happy. I don't have time. Volunteer firehouse, I don't have time. But if a buddy calls me and says, hey, you want to grab a cigar tonight? Yeah, I can squeeze that in. We have time. It's what are we prioritizing with our time? Where does time fit into your schedule? What's important to you? See, the hard part is the volunteer fire service. We can sit here and say it's harder for volunteers today. Call volume's going up, training's going up, all this and that. We can fill the room with excuses. What are we doing about it? We have time. I rolled over at 3 a.m. this morning for a carbon monoxide alarm. I didn't get up. I rolled over. I feel guilty about it for about 10 minutes, and then I move on with life. I know the engine got out. I saw the lights reflecting through my window as they drove down the road, so I know at least one guy got my engine out. It's a real conversation. I chose to roll over. I valued sleep more than going to that call this morning. Carbon monoxide alarm. We do hundreds of them a year. What's the chances that it's something serious? If it is, maybe it'll bang it out again. Maybe I'll hear a mutual aid company go. Then I might get up. That's real conversation, guys. I'm guilty. I'm guilty of everything. I prioritize my sleep over going to that call. I'm hoping that a couple guys prioritize going to the call over my sleep. And so it works out. We fill the holes. We help each other. I get it. The one thing that I think is lacking and we need to do more of is the bumper time. Franklin Lakes, where I am, we do 600, maybe up to 7. I think our busiest year was like 700 runs a year. All fire, no EMS. That means there's days that we could run 6, 7, 8 times, right? Potentially. And it's happened plenty of times. So you're running down to the volunteer, your home response. You're running down, jumping on the rig, going across town, coming back, plugging the rig in, going home. 10 minutes later, pager goes off. You're going back to the firehouse, right? Jumping on the rig, go home. Rinse, wash, repeat. We're losing the bumper time. Lauren, who I mentioned before in that slide, that young girl with the green helmet, is missing my insights, my ideas, my opinions, my experience. And she's missing all of yours. Because when we back those rigs in, our time is so valuable for us, we no longer are leaning back against the bumper having a laugh. You guys still have pops in your firehouse? You do a beer, whatever, right? We grew up that way in the firehouse. But I think about how valuable that front bumper conversation was. It's informal learning. We're not doing it as much as we used to. So these kids are really missing out on that. That's part of training. That's part of education and experience. We have to go all in. I had a conversation with one of my senior guys not too long ago, and I said, Steve, I need you. I need you more than ever. He's like, Jay, guys that know me personally call me Jay, right? He's like, Jay, I've been doing this for like 60 years, man. He's like, I'm tired. I'm not getting up for calls. I said, Steve, I don't need you at night. I mean, I do, but I understand that. But I'd like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, if you're around, come down here. I need you. Even if you're not getting on the rig, I need you here so that when we get back, you can facilitate a conversation, have a laugh, share a story. I need you. Because the problem is I don't have people filling his shoes. And these older guys get more disconnected, and they don't think about that. They get disconnected from the running for calls. They stop coming out for calls. They don't realize that membership is dwindling. And when they were young, they took the place of the older guys. And there were plenty of young guys that take over all the responsibilities of the firehouse. We don't have that type of people. We don't have that many people anymore. So I'm asking more of my people more than ever. Same with you guys, I'm sure. We're asking more of less. It's becoming a struggle. There's no doubt. We need to invest into our people. Find the people that are going to make you win and double down on them. It's huge. It's so important. Lack of understanding. Everybody wants to be right, and compromise is always hard. I talk about maturity comes clarity. My story, and this is why I tell you my story. One, transparency, authenticity. You know who I am now. You know I was fat, drunk, and stupid. I cleaned up my life. I did well for myself. I grew a business. I created a new business. I'm raising my family. I'm not that entitled kid anymore. And in fact, at 47 years old, I have better friendships today than I've ever had. I run in tight circles that I talked about before. I have people in my life now where I am the dumbest guy in the room. I love being the dumbest guy in the room. If you asked me that 10, 12, 15, 20 years ago, I would have told you I was the smartest guy in the room because I talked all the time. I knew everything. Now I don't know jack shit. I'm a better human being today. With maturity comes clarity. Adversity is a huge asset in the fire service, and I think it's important, especially as the dynamic of our communities are changing, as our fire companies are changing. I look at my daughters. My daughter's friend group is every color, religion, sex, you name it. They all look different. When I grew up, we were all the same. There wasn't much adversity or diversity. And so now, I think when we serve the public, we need to represent what our communities look like. We need to have people from different backgrounds so we get a better understanding of who they are, so we can provide a better service. I look at it this way, too. We can even break it down even easier. Who doesn't like going to fire calls with plumbers, electricians, carpenters, car salesmen, and attorneys and accountants? We're all diverse. We all come from different backgrounds, but we complement each other so very, very well. That is the fire service today. And I think we are better on the road, boots on the ground. We are better when we all look different and have different backgrounds. I truly, truly believe that. Respect, a little Aretha, comes from a place of understanding, showing care and interest in others. Do you truly care about your brother or sister next to you? You're going to drop them a phone call if you haven't seen them in 2 months? I just did it the other day with a new guy that joined our fire department, went through Fire One. He joined later in life, so he's in his 40s. I don't think he really understood because we didn't do a good job of giving him the expectations of what the volunteer fire service actually entailed, nor did he understand the responsibility in a sleepy town like ours, and yet it's not so sleepy. And so I haven't seen the guy in a while. I didn't have to take time out of my day to text him, but I did, and it ended up to a phone call. Are you doing that for your people? If somebody disappears and then they come back a month later and they walk in the door, you're like, where the frig have you been? Or are you like, hey, Joe, how you doing, bud? Everything good? Haven't seen you in a while. What's your approach? I'll tell you what your approach is. You're like, where the hell you been? I've been dragging all this weight around here. We need you here. You want to be a member? Show up. I can guarantee you that's a lot of the conversation. Why don't you take 30 seconds and ask them what happened? Where you been? What can we do for you? Did something happen? Especially our newer members. We don't know them as well as we do the older guys. Are you all in on your people? Do you show them respect as a human being? We need to do a better job at that. Respect is earned. I think, obviously, trust is earned. Respect we should be giving at the get. I don't think anybody should have to work towards your respect. What are you, God? Give respect. Somebody comes through your front door, give it to them. Give your people everything they need to succeed. Double down on them. Tell them you appreciate them. Show them you appreciate them. How about this? Chiefs, stop having 3 hours Chiefs meetings when nothing gets accomplished. I used to sit in them. 3 hours of your members' time, and you get nothing accomplished. Here's an idea. Have a 17-minute meeting and get everything accomplished. We don't value our people's time. We don't do a good enough job respecting their time outside the firehouse. You want them to put more time in? Give them more time back. I did a project with Town Bank, New Jersey, which is right, the volunteer department right next to Cape May. At the tip, they have the ferry comes in. They got a brand new Pierce Tower ladder down there. I went down to do a project with Pierce and Fire and Safety. I'm talking to the chief, and in the back of the firehouse in an empty bay, they have 9 speedlays packed in the back of the firehouse, sitting on the floor. So I'm walking around, I'm looking at stuff like I always do. I'm pretty nosy when I'm in firehouses. And I go, Chief, what's with the speedlays? You got a couple engines out of service? He goes, no. He goes, that's for my people. I said, what do you mean? He said, when we back in from a fire, we take the old tray off and shove the new one in. We'll come back tomorrow night and re-rack it and wash it. We just got done fighting a fire for 3 hours. I want my people to go home, shower, be with their families. They can come back tomorrow night, roll out the hose, wash it, and repack it, put it in the back of the bay. Speedlays. I never thought of it that way. That chief told me right there, he set the tone for me. I understood that he values his people's time. They're able to have extra speedlays ready to go. What an absolute win. Now, you can argue it any which way you want. That's fine. I'm telling you a story. The thing is this. We do value the bumper time. We need that time after a fire to re-rack and have that conversation. But can you just do it the next night? Who's to say you can't? They chose to do it that way because the chief values his people's time. That is somebody that actually cares about his people. So when you ask of your people all these things, you want them to come to training, your training better be good. If training starts at 7:30 and you're not getting out the door to 7:45, shame on you. Why do you think everybody shows up late? You want your meetings to start on time? Start them on time. You want your people to show up to funerals, parades, and events? Make sure it's the very best it can be for those people. See, the problem is, again, that slide, it's easy to blame. We can just point fingers and blame. Are you willing to blame yourself? If training is supposed to be thorough, are all the appliances and hose laid out? Are we, the fire ground or the training ground, set up ready to go? Are we hustling? Are we thinking about our people? That's important stuff. It takes work. It takes work. It's not their fault. I love this one. I get a lot of people get cranky over this one. You raised them. I'm raising my children. My children are a byproduct of me. I said it before. My kids don't do something. I ask them to take the garbage out. They don't do it. Do I hold them accountable and put the bag in their bedroom? Do I put the bag at the front door when they come in at night? The bag's sitting there that they're going to trip over it? Or do I just take it out myself? You know what I do? Probably take it out myself. It's just easier. We've created that environment. It's not their fault if we're allowing them to get away with it. It's not their fault if we've given them those values, that environment. Accountability. Are you accepting responsibility for how you're running your fire companies? It's a tough conversation. The one on the bottom is important. The worst day is their worst day. They don't know anything more. I think about my daughter, 16 years old. One of her first calls was a pretty gnarly extrication we had up on 287. And pretty gnarly. And she, you know, we protect, I think it's really important, especially in the volunteer sector, when you have young members to shield them and protect them from things they don't need to be a part of, if they don't need to be a part of it, right? I think that's super important. I think we'd all agree on that. And I'm even talking 18, 19-year-old kids. If I have enough senior guys there, if you don't need to see a fatal, you don't need to see that, don't take that home with you, right? It's not a man thing. I'm not manning up. It's literally protecting our own, taking care of our own, right? So my daughter saw that, saw a pretty gnarly accident. It wasn't a fatal, but guy was pretty beat up. She's never seen anything like that before. So the expectation is she didn't know that exists. Like, she's never seen it. They only know what they know. Their worst day has only been their worst day. For my daughter, her worst day for my daughter Paige was getting a flat tire coming home one night. That's like her worst day. That's all they know. So understand that. When we're raising people through the fire service, understand that they're only been aware of what they've only seen and know. We need to do a better job teaching expectations and being comforting and understanding that that's the case. I kind of jumbled that up a little bit, but I think you get the message. More diverse, the better. I talked about this before. Doesn't matter to us. Age, race, religion, color. When the tones drop, none of it matters. It goes back to that conversation about age. I don't care who you are. If you're sitting across me in that engine, and I've given you every piece of training and equipment and knowledge and experience that I could have given you to do your job, then we're an equal. That's all that matters. I don't give a crap about anything else, especially at the time we're going to work. Patience. We all live in a world of now. I talked about that before. This right here. Immediacy. We have no patience. We lack patience. We don't debate anymore. Bar trivia. Who won the World Series in '82? What year did we walk on the moon? We don't debate it anymore. Some asshole in the room looks it up on his phone and we move on. Where's the fun and sport in that? Conversation. We're losing the art of conversation. Bring it back. Debate. The dismissing part, we talked about that. This on the bottom is important to me. Easy is fast, hard is slow. I didn't understand that until I've gotten much older in life. And I really came to understand the importance of that. There are 0 shortcuts in firefighting. Everything in life today is a shortcut. We're trying to find a workaround. We're always trying to find or do something quicker or faster than we've ever done before. The things we could do on our phone, the shit I use AI for now. I'm using AI almost every day when I'm doing proposals, media marketing surveys, proposals, pitch decks, you name it. Boom, 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 boom. Ease, shortcuts. You know what that does, though? It takes you out of the process. You're not learning the fundamentals. When you're always looking for a shortcut, you're never going to know how to actually do it. And I love the saying, tricks of the trade. Everybody wants to learn the tricks of the trade. We got to learn the trade first. I love that saying. I don't know who it was. It's one of the big names in the fire service came out with that years and years and years ago. But I think it's super important. We always want to learn the tricks of the trade, but we haven't learned the trade. There are no shortcuts in the American fire service. Shortcuts will get you killed. Shortcuts will kill your partner. Shortcuts will kill the people you're sworn to protect and serve. Put in the work. And what's the rush? I mean, how many guys 50 years and up in this room? Anyone? Yeah. How quick did that go? Quick? Next year will be my 30th year. I feel like I just joined, like last year. Seriously. Been to a lot of fires over the years. I've been to a lot of wrecks. I've done a lot of emergencies. I've been to a lot of places. And it goes by in a heartbeat. What is the rush? If you're a 3-year firefighter, be a 3-year firefighter. Learn the job. It's a process. You can't speed it up. Years don't matter. You could put 3 years in the busiest fire company in the country, and you could be like a 25-year man somewhere else that's slow. The years in don't matter. It's the skills. It's what you do to build yourself up, your experience level. Learn the job. Don't take shortcuts, guys. And don't live outside of your means. If you're a three-year man, be a three-year man. It's okay. We need three-year men. We need 5-year girls. We need 10-year guys, 25-year leaders. Everybody has a place in the process. Don't speed it up. Throwing shit. Don't speed up the process. Let's see if this is going to work now. That's a first. Yeah, I need glasses, fellas. Let's see. Ruh-roh. There we go. We're back. It's a long game. We want everything now. Knowledge and experience matters. Experience matters. If you're a tradesman, a carpenter, a plumber, an electrician, you do your apprentice time. You learn the trade. You become a master carpenter over time. You're not building a house the first day out of carpentry school. You know what I'm saying? It takes time. Knowledge and experience matters. Recognize those in your companies that have knowledge and experience and go all in on them. Sit with them. It will make you better. Positioning, just like the fire ground, right? We go out the door. If you got riding positions, you're going to work, whatever it is. You ride the bar, the roof, search, nozzle, whatever your position is. You know the position. We've given you the training, the tools, the equipment. If I'm riding nozzle, I'm getting off, I'm stretching, masking up, going in. That's my job. That's my riding position. I know where to be. If I'm searching ahead of the fire, if I'm throwing a 24 to the rear, breaking glass and going in, I know through experience and knowledge, the line's pushing this way, I'm ahead of the line, I need to cut that off, I need to throw a door closed, I need to isolate, whatever it is. You know positioning on the fire ground because we taught you how to fight fires. Why do we not know where to position in the firehouse? Why do we not know how to position in a conversation when senior guys are talking, junior guys are talking, at the company meeting? Why do we forget about positioning then? You got to know where you fit in. You have to understand that. It's just like the fire ground, the X's and O's. Understanding comes with experience. If you're a 3-year man, be a 3-year man. And in 5 years, you'll be a 5-year man. And in 10, 20, 20. That's important. Don't lose sight of that. Don't rush it. You guys know who that is, I hope? Biff? Okay. Your environment. Next couple slides hit pretty good. I got a lot of feedback on them. I wouldn't say pushback. I get some pushback. Your environment will influence you. If your fire department's full of slackers, you're a slacker. Or potentially. If your fire company is the one that nobody wants at their fire, right? You are a product of your environment. If you hang with losers, you are a loser. If you hang with winners, you are a winner. That's the beautiful thing about it. You get to pick what you want to be. Do you want to put the work in? Do you want to sit with winners? Do you want it to look good? That's it. When you guys go to work as a mutual aid company, you walk up and that mutual aid chief sees you and he greenlights you to go right in and get to work. It's because you let your tools do the talking. It's because he knows you're a bunch of winners that are going to affect change on his fire ground. He wants you there. He needs you there. You go in, you trim your windows, you clean up the cuts, you open doors, you do it professionally and proficiently, you walk back out the door, you change your cylinders, and you're ready to go to the next one. That's what winners do. That's what they do. I'm going to harp on this one for a minute. I just posted this on social media the other day. Anybody see this one? Cool. So the thirds, right? Disclaimer. I don't listen to other fire service podcasts. I like to think that a lot of what I talk about is original thought through my time and experience in life and in the fire service. This, however, I might have stolen. Don't know. So if you know of anybody that talks about the thirds, I know there's leadership people that talk about the thirds. I don't know if anybody does it in the fire service. This is my take on the thirds. I'll break that down for you. And if anybody knows or seen this or heard anyone else speak about this, please let me know because I want to give credit where credit's due. The rule of thirds: winners, average, losers. This is my take on it. We need to double down on our winners. The average will come up, and get rid of your losers. It's a pretty spicy thing to say. Double down on your winners. The average can come up, and who cares about the losers? Now, I posted a 5-minute rant the other day from when I did this the other day at a program. A lot of people, Facebook warriors, keyboard warriors, Instagram. Cool. I love debate. I think the fire service should be full of debate, and I'm happy to debate people. It's fine. Let me give you my take on this. Very simply, winners win. That's it. You have a fire department, and you want to be good. You want that mutual aid chief to respect you coming in. It's because you're full of winners. See, the fun thing is when you win, there's no room for losers. The busiest firehouses in this country don't have losers in them because they can't hack it. They don't stay there because it doesn't allow for their growth to spread the poison. Winners win. Cultures that promote winning win. If you're a chief or a district or a company officer, give your people every single tool they need to win. Equipment, training, tools, whatever it is. Double down on your winners. Winners win. Who the hell wants to hang with losers? I'll tell you who. Slackers. People that are in it for themselves. I need a t-shirt. I'm not happy about what the fire company's doing. We need a better stipend. I need this. I need that. I. The fire service has so much I in it, it's nauseating. See, the beautiful thing is, if you have a culture of winning, if you have all-stars in your fire department and you're giving them everything they need to win, the average is going to look at that and say, I want to be that. I want to be on their team. Nobody wants to lose. I played fire department softball for 20 years. I'd go to bed every Sunday night with my leg ripped open, the sheets sticking to me, half drunk from the after party. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I'm an old man these days. I'm ripping my body apart to keep up with these young kids. But we sucked. We lost every season. We never had a winning team. And I hung out with the losers for 20 years. I finally hung it up. My point is this. Nobody wants to lose. Nobody wants to go to fires and get kicked in the teeth, not do your job, lose somebody because you weren't aggressive enough or you didn't get that door open fast enough, you couldn't stretch that line quick enough. We need a fire service full of winners. I'm so tired of chiefs and departments and districts and commissioners double downing on their losers to try to appease and make everyone happy. You can't make everyone happy. So who do you want to make happy? I'd say the people that make my firehouse great. That's who I want to make happy. And if the guys in the back row don't like it, sorry guys, we need a culture of winning here. You can get on or get off. Just don't get in our way. And I think that's really important. And some of the things that people had said to me, coming back at me a little bit, was you can't just write people off. Volunteer organizations need everybody. There's a spot for everyone. And my reply to that was simply this. You are 100% correct. There is a spot for everyone in our fire companies, if they're all in. You want to be the president? Great. You want to be the accountant? Great. You want to cook food for us? Great. We need as much help as we can in the fire service. I am not imploring you to just kick people out. That is not what this conversation is. Most people are average. Most people hang in the middle. They back up against the wall and they don't conflict. They just let things happen around them and they're part of the equation. They're your B crew, your C crew. There's nothing wrong with those people, But I promise you, if you take an average guy and put him at a table with 4 winners, put 4 winners on a door prop and take 2 average kids and throw them in, by the end of the night, those kids are raising their level. You're going to create winners. But if you don't invest into them and the winners don't get what they need and they're not staying hungry, because the problem is we have winners in our firehouse and we do training and the winners blow through the prop, the winners stretch lines, the winners do everything fast, and then we sideline them. Hang out, guys. We're going to try to get Joey through this because, and Joey's like, oh, I've never done that. We can't have that. Joey can work on that at a different time. We need our winners to win. We need to give them the tools to win. There is a place for everyone in the fire service if you are in, if you want to be a part of the process. If you're not going to be a fireman and you want to cook us burgers on Monday night, make sure the burgers and the buns and all the other stuff are ready to go. You're doing your part. You're in. You're a winner. You're doing your job and you're doing it well. So don't confuse this. I'm not looking to ostracize people in the fire service, but if you're a piece of shit in your firehouse and all you care about is what you're getting out of it, and you're the guy that's causing problems and complaints, you're the loser. Get out of our way. The problem is there's not a loser in this room tonight, because losers don't come to things like this. Losers will be the guys when you go back to your firehouse tomorrow and they're going to be like, did you go to that thing with that fat kid from National Fire Radio? It's crazy. What the hell would you go there and spend the night with that kid for? They'll be like, I don't know, should I have gone to the bar with you, had 14 Budweisers, smoked cigarettes, and tell stories about the fires we went to 30 years ago because you haven't progressed or gotten any further in your career? Yeah, let me run with you. You're fun. I was that guy for a while, guys. I was that kid in the firehouse that knew everything. Couldn't be told differently. I was that guy. That slide, I'm guilty. That was me in my early years in the fire service. And I've really come to understand that you don't get anywhere. There is no growth personally when you just go in on yourself and no one else. This thing only works as if you go all in on it. Be a winner, man. Create an environment where winners win. Who the hell doesn't want to be on a winning team? Who doesn't want to have that tailboard talk after kicking the fire right in its teeth? Who doesn't want to play on the A team? Everybody does. It fuels us. It makes us better. The best fire companies in the world, I know I said it and I'll say it again. The best fire companies in the world, they don't allow losers because the culture doesn't allow them to stay. Don't give them the ability to poison your average. Because just as easy as the average can come up, the average can certainly go down. If you allow the losers to foster an environment in your fire company, you will lose. You will lose. Mission over me. I didn't come up with this. Obviously, the 2 names on the coat, fire department, your name, the mission's above, right? Blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to sit here and grandioso this. But if you're always in it for yourself, if you're in it for you, you are doing it wrong. I talked about it when I first started tonight. This is a lifestyle. It has consumed me. It consumes all of you. You're wearing coats and sweatshirts with emblems and patches and Maltese crosses. You are proud of your companies. You're in public. Present yourself accordingly. Be proud of who you are and where you come from. The mission matters more than you. And the one thing that I want to say is this. Making decisions in the fire service is very, very simple. You will never make the wrong decision if you always put the fire company ahead of yourself. I'll say it again. You will never make the wrong decision if you put your company over you. It is only when you insert yourself into the decision-making, insert your feelings into the decision-making, could you potentially make the wrong decision. If you're doing what's best for your crew, your company, your chief, the department, the mission, if you put that first in your decision making, you're doing it right. Consistency is a fun thing. That's something I struggle with still today. Consistency. It's hard. Like the fire service I talked about, it's a long game. The best thing that comes from it and how you go all in is being consistent in your approach. I struggle with consistency in my personal life, in my business. I'm a creative guy. My wife calls me an 80%er. I get something to 80% and then I get bored and I move on. I've learned that I need people behind me to pick up the last 20%. That's who I am. I'm a creative. That's how my brain is going 1,000 miles an hour. While I'm standing here talking to you, I'm thinking about 100 things that I have to do tomorrow. I'm thinking about how I can do that. I'm an 80%er and I've come to realize that, and I'm trying to do better. I want to be a 100%er. I want to be able to follow through, but sometimes I just can't. That's me. Full transparency, authenticity. I'm telling you, I need to do better at consistency. Nancy Reagan, stop saying no. Please stop saying no. I'm so tired. This slide and the dismissing slides are my favorite slides in this whole program, other than the thirds. So those are the three. We have an environment of no. That's it. We love, let's see what we got. Oh, another fire alarm, shocking. We love to say no. What's your name, sir? What is it? Hugh. Goes to a conference on his own dime, on his own time. Walks in and they're doing engine company operations, and Hugh learns this new 150 bundle on the front bumper. Pretty cool load, kind of unique. They explain it, they deploy it, they use it 10 times at training. Hugh comes home from training. Monday night, he's at the firehouse. Guys, this past weekend, I was just over in so-and-so at that conference. And you were at a conference all weekend? Did you spend your own money on that? What are you, crazy? It's ridiculous. We had fire department softball today. He's going to say, guys, I learned this new front bumper load. It's 150 off the front bumper, perfect for car fires, brush fires, rubbish, trash, you name it, nuisance fires. It's a great line. I'd love to show you. Cap, do you think? No. Yeah, but Cap, I think it could do us. Nope, I'm not really interested. We don't do it that way here. We've always done it this way. Yeah, but I know we have, and I appreciate that. But I think that if we could, nope. Here's the problem with this. We say no because the people that have the permission to say no lack their own abilities. They lack comfort in their own skills and abilities. It is easier to say no than it is to say yes. When you say yes, you allow somebody else to have a say. You allow somebody else to have an opinion or a way of doing something. And now if this is the company captain, it's his house. It's my truck. It's my engine. It's my way. I don't need Hugh showing up and telling me he learned something from somewhere else that I'm not comfortable with. So it's just easier to tell him no than it is to promote him and say yes. Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, it's very easy. Let's go out next Monday night, Hugh. We'll stretch our bumper line 3 times. We'll do rolling response. We'll stretch our line. When we're done, pack it your way. Let's try it out. Let's see what it looks like. You think it's good? Let's go. Little sportsmanship there, right? Now Hugh packs it his way. You've given him the green light to have a say at the table. You've given him permission and respect to share his ideas or thoughts. Hugh packs the 150, they deploy it once, cool. Pack it, deploy it again, cool. Third time, fumble, doesn't work. Hey Hugh, look good, man. I don't think it's going to work for us here, but I appreciate you bringing that here. You know what? You learn anything else, bring it back here. We'll train on it. Now, it didn't work. You just boosted Hugh up. He's flying high. The company captain gave him an opportunity, gave him a seat at the table. He tried something different. It didn't work. Couple things. One, it reinforces how you do it already. So your guys are bought in even more. And two, you gave Hugh a boost. One, what you did at the conference isn't lost. I appreciate you going and learning, and thank you for bringing it back and sharing that with us. It's just not going to work today. But it doesn't mean the next time Hugh goes or another guy goes and brings something back, we can't have that conversation again, and maybe it is better than how we do it. See, the funny thing is about the fire service, and I was actually having this conversation with a bunch of the guys before we started tonight, talking about a bunch of things, but why are we trying to reinvent the wheel in our own firehouses when everybody else is doing it already? Why aren't we sharing information and knowledge amongst one another? Why are we trying to reinvent the wheel? We should have a place where we can go and see every front bumper load ever packed and figure out which one's best for us. Why are we always trying to reinvent the wheel? The work's been done. Let's find that work. Let's get together as a fire service and put that work together. We learn from each other. We need to stop saying no. Create an environment of yes. Now, again, not the fireground. Fireground is not the time or place to try something. Yeah, maybe that will work. No. This is for training in your fire company, figuring out ways in which you want to do something different. Try it. Empower your people to have a say. Allow them to bring something to the table. You will empower them to go do more and be better. That's called winning. That is what we want. Be the change. I get this all the time. I have people send me messages all the time. I'm a young fireman. I think I'm aggressive. I'm hungry. My fire company sucks. Nobody wants to train. I'm out back doing this. Nobody wants to work with me. It's hard. I'm struggling here, right? I get it all the time. People are starving for more, and their own fire companies are not giving it to them. I tell them they can be the change, but sometimes they can't. Sometimes you need to get out and go find something better for you. Not every fire department can be saved. Not every fire company can turn it around. I promise you that. You can't. Not everybody can be saved. If you're young, excitable, and you're not getting what you need, and you've tried to do the work and put in the work and you're not getting what you need, you might have to go somewhere else. It's the department's fault they lost you. With that, though, are you really putting in the work? And that's my first question back when I have these conversations. You think you're doing the work. Are you truly putting in the work? Are you out back throwing at 24, throwing at 28? Are you stretching? Are you working hard at your craft? Are you doing the very best you can? Are you truly putting in the work? If you are, I often believe that you can at least get one or two more to come. And not only that, but the beautiful thing is we're sitting in the County Fire Academy. If they're not in your house, maybe they're in a house next door. Maybe they're in a house two departments over. You can find people like yourself. Today in the fire service, more than ever, you have opportunity. I'm going to talk about that in a slide. More opportunity than ever before. If you don't have what you're looking for at home, get out of your zip code and go get it. You can. It exists. The last thing there, don't beat your chest. Gerard Mann, he's a friend of mine. He's a fireman in Australia. Comes for FDIC every year. He's been on my podcast a couple times. Big giant, gentle giant, big guy, tatted up, big stash, totally cool fireman. I love him, but he's a big teddy bear. But he tells this story, and I'm going to tell you real quick. He had this young kid come into his fire department, and the kid always wanted to train. All he wanted to do was train and lift weights, run, train, lift weights, run, train, lift weights. And these guys are all a little more experienced than him, kind of a little bit bigger. Maybe they're carrying a few pounds on them. They've been firemen for a couple of years. No problem. Not that they're against physical fitness or anything. It's just time and place. But one day he wanted to lift weights, and the guys were like, we're going to go upstairs and throw darts. And the kid got all puffy about it. And so they let him stay outside and lift weights by himself while the rest of the engine crew went upstairs and threw darts. The kid comes up the stairs. He hears everybody laughing, walks in. He's looking around. He's like, I was just outside lifting weights. You guys are wasting time throwing darts. He said, let me explain something to you. As important as that lifting weights is today, Maybe you could have taken a day off and thrown darts and learned a little bit more about your brothers and sisters in this firehouse. It doesn't always have to be stretching, throwing, forcing, lifting, running. It could just be spending quality time with your people. That is also part of training and also part of the drill. If you're too busy pounding your own chest and saying, look at me, I'm better than all of you, I promise you they want to get rid of you. Back to the positioning. Know where you fit in. Understand the conversation. You don't always have to prove to everybody that you're better than them, because chances are they are wiser than you. Does that make sense? Community, you have more opportunity than ever before. The one thing I would caution you with this opportunity, you can go find whatever you're looking for. One, vet it. Make sure that whatever you have found is good for you and good for your career and the people around you. Two, you better make sure that you're not just surrounding yourself with like-minded people. So all we talk about in the fire service, I talk about it on the podcast all the time, we talk about like-minded people. We want to find like-minded people. I couldn't agree with you more. Find people that make you better. Sit at that table. It's so good. However, when you only surround yourself with the same people pushing you, it becomes an echo chamber. And now there's no checks and balances in the system anymore. Now all of a sudden, what you've come to know is everybody's cheering you on because you have made no wrongs or you're wonderful. And next thing you know, you're tripping up. So you want to surround yourself with like-minded people? Absolutely. Just make sure you got a couple people in the system that can break it down for you. Be the dumbest guy in the room. I talked about that. Surround yourself with better people and sit with winners. The view, I promise you, is always different. Opportunities in the fire service we have now more than ever. It's easier to find like-minded firefighters, of course, because you have ways to find them. The one thing I'll say about the fire service is very interesting. Because of opportunities, that is a big part of why we can't put more seats in the fire trucks. My kids can flip Nikes for $150,000 a year on eBay. Why would they want to be a fireman? Down south, out west, they can't hire enough people. You want to be a career fireman? You can go get hired tomorrow in parts of this country. There's no competition. They'll literally put you on the job. It's because people don't want the job anymore because they have more opportunity than ever before. So we have to do better. Have to do better. The younger generation is more educated and they know they have options. What are we doing at the local volunteer fire company to entice these young kids who have everything else at their fingertips? Why would they want to come volunteer at your firehouse? What are you doing for them? What are you giving them? The old conversation, come in, shut your mouth and listen up, those days are long over. We have to find common ground in our communication skills and embracing that next generation coming into the firehouse. Recruitment's great. How about this? How about we focus on retention? We always put recruitment, retention in the same conversation, and they are two very different things. Of course, we need new members to constantly come in, but we already have people here. Don't lose them. Retain your members. Double down on your members. Fact versus feeling. Whenever you insert feelings into your opinions, it gets ugly. Argue facts. I'm going to buzz through this. I can see you guys are getting a little tired, so not a big deal. Entitlement, all of us are guilty of it. We've created it. Poor leadership creates it. We lack leaders today in the fire service that have experience. Experience matters. If they're not confident in their own skills and abilities, they will never, ever let you run. We need leaders that let their people run. We need leaders that let their people be firemen. We need firemen to be firemen. Let them work If you're an incompetent leader or lack the skills and abilities and yet you sit in that seat, recognize that. Recognize it. And lean on a guy more your senior. Tell him, hey man, I'm only a couple years in. We need a lieutenant. I stepped up. But man, I haven't been to all these fires yet. I've only been to a handful of fires. I'm going to need your help. You know how many senior guys will look at you right in the eyes with tremendous respect and say, no problem, you got it. Have those conversations. Shannon Stone, he's a career chief down in the Florida Panhandle. I was doing a roundtable with him one night. This kid stood up from Texas, big cowboy hat, big fat lip of chew. He stands up. And I thought he was going to be this like big gruff guy, and he's like speaks with this like little voice. And he goes, I have a question for you guys. He's like, he's looking around the room, and you could tell he had some hesitation, but he really wanted to know. And this is what I love about these younger generations. They're not afraid to ask the questions. He says, I'm in a career department. We're growing another 4 stations this year. We're hiring like crazy, but we can't hire fast enough to fill the stations because we're growing so fast. This is down in Texas. He goes, they want me to take a lieutenant position. I've only been on 2 years. He goes, they want me to be a lieutenant down at the new firehouse. And in front of a whole room, I mean, probably 300 people in this room. He's like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know what to do. Can you help me? And a couple guys gave some advice. And then Chief Shannon Stone, who speaks nationally, I respect him. He's a pretty badass dude, great chief, loves his people, takes care of his people. He looks at him and says, you've come here on your own time. You're here to learn. You have the courage to stand up and ask that question. He goes, if not you, then who? See, the problem is we don't have enough experience in the fire service today to fill all of the spots. I don't know how your fire companies are, but my hometown, we lack lieutenant positions. We don't even have lieutenants. We have captains on up. So we don't even have the most junior engine company or truck company position. We don't have people to fill those seats. If not you, then who? If you're doing it right for the mission, and you're doing everything to better yourself, it's okay to take that position, but recognize that position doesn't give you experience. If not you, then who? We want good people taking on these positions. You might not have all the experience in the world, but we can't vilify them for that. We cannot. But we need people to do the tasks that those officer spots require. And if they're willing to learn from those guys that are still senior to them, then we'll succeed and we will win. If not you, then who? Entitlement, we went through all this already. Accountability, stop playing defense. We hate going to fires, getting pulled out, spraying water from the outside. We hate it. Absolutely hate it. We love to fight fire from the in out. Let's do the same. Let's operate offensively in every approach that we have. Stop playing defense and start getting offensive. You want to be aggressive? Let's be aggressive. Let's be aggressive in our fire companies. Let's be aggressive in our approach. Let's be aggressive in how we treat each other. Let's be aggressive in how we double down on our winners and double down on our people. Aggressive firefighting? There's no such thing. It's called firefighting. Firefighting is aggressive. If we have to throw that word in front of it, you're doing it wrong. Firefighting is inherently aggressive. If we're not getting in and putting water on that fire and affecting a positive change on that fire ground, people will die. Firefighting is aggressive. So if we want to do that and use the word aggressive, that's fine, but let's use it in other parts of the fire service too then. Let's get aggressive. Who are you outside the firehouse? If you are a piece of shit in your personal life, you are a piece of shit at the firehouse. We know that. I can't challenge you all enough. I went through this personal journey. I was a piece of shit. I was Tommy Boy, fat, drunk, and stupid. I've cleaned my game up. I'm now more accountable. I have people to answer to. I have children and a wife. I have a fire service that I report to. I have a fire department I'm responsible for, a business that I own. I have responsibilities. I've become a much better person than I ever was before. Who are you outside the firehouse? If you don't like yourself outside, you're not any good inside. I promise. I promise. We want the best for you. When you're good at your game, you'll be good at the firehouse. Expectations. Are we explaining to our people what the expectations are? When people join our departments, are we telling them? Are we giving them a probie book, a rookie book? Are we taking time to sit down with new people and explain the expectations? What the volunteer fire service actually entails. That we don't go to fires every day. That it's mostly service calls. It's annoying. You have to get up at night. You have to go to funerals. You have to take the garbage out. See, the problem is if we're not telling people what the expectations are, how do we expect them to perform? Firehouses with a good culture, it's inherent. Those 20 minutes after the run, sitting on the bumper, we can have those conversations and educate our people. But if we're not doing that, at least give them the framework they need to understand the expectations. We need to do a better job. And again, guys, that slide, I'm guilty. I'm guilty. I'm 100% guilty of all this. Nostalgia. I love that picture. That's pretty awesome. I don't know which engine company that is, but the one thing I love about it is hip boots, no coats, dog in a back step, cigs hanging out of their mouth. It's an iconic photo of the American Fire Service warriors. I would say most of us couldn't hold a candle to these guys. We love it. We absolutely love it. We want it. But man, these guys went to fire after fire after fire. They'd get hurt and still come back the next day. They didn't tap out. They didn't cry. They did their job. They were made of freaking steel. The point of this slide is the fire service is cool. The fire service is awesome. This is foundation. We grew up with this. If you're a student of the fire service, you can appreciate a photo like that and really what that means. We all love it, but we lack the understanding and patience to appreciate it. And I think that kind of sums up this program. We all, or not, we all need to do better, myself included. Our volunteer fire service, because I can say this in this room because it's mostly volunteers, we are suffering. And a lot of the problem is because we're not taking care of our own house. We all need to do a better job at it. There are things that we do very, very well. And fire service is still the greatest institution on this planet. I'm a ball-bearing salesman. I've owned other businesses. I've wore a lot of different shoes in my 47 years. But everything in my world keeps coming back to the fire service because it's special. It's important. You guys being here tonight, you get it. And you have an obligation to take this message. And like I say at the end of every podcast that I do, take this conversation, take it back to the firehouse and talk about it. Because when we're talking about the job, we're making the job better. Plain and simple. Talk about the job. Make the job better. And with that, folks, that is it. So thank you very, very much.
National Fire Radio.